I got up early to get back to Idaho and find the first train I could on the Spokane sub. As we just heard from the dispatcher giving out authority to trains, the northern part of this sub is track warrant controlled. In the distance here you can see the BNSF Kootenai sub crossing over the UP. In my pursuit north to follow the train, this BN train just fell in my lap. There wasn't much time to waste in this mountainous territory, but I decided to take it anyway. Between Spokane and Bonners Ferry, the BNSF and UP routes weave along with each other until the BNSF breaks away and heads east. After the UP leaves Bonners Ferry north, it climbs a steep grade up to Moyie Springs, allowing me to get ahead of the train. Any old bystander would have a hard time knowing this was Union Pacific trackage, as we see a beautiful set of solid Canadian Pacific locomotives up front. It is somewhat fitting to see so much Canadian Pacific power here, as it was CP, not UP, that gained control of the Spokane International shortly after it was built. The 140-mile route was completed in 1906 between Spokane and Eastport. At that time, Union Pacific considered purchase of the SI, but lost out, as the Canadian Pacific gained control instead. The line was an important bridge route between traffic moving from Canada to America, and the Oregon-Washington Rail and Navigation Company was the primary interchange partner with the SI. After bankruptcy and reorganization, in 1936 to 1938, Canadian Pacific decided to give up control of the Spokane International, and SI emerged an independent carrier. In 1955, Spokane International attempted to sell the railroad back to Canadian Pacific, but they were turned down, so instead they turned to the Union Pacific. The final hurdle for Union Pacific's application to the ICC for authority to purchase control came from the Northern Pacific and Great Northern, as they hotly contested and demanded that they should have control, or at least have the line split. The Interstate Commerce Commission didn't see it that way, and wisely ruled in favor of Union Pacific. So UP finally took control of the line on October 6, 1958.
There was a time in this fair land when the railroad did not run, when the wild, majestic mountains stood alone against the sun. Long before the white man and long before the wheel, when the green, dark forest was too silent to be real. But time has no beginnings and the history has no bounds. As to this verdant country they came from all around. They sailed upon her waterways and they walked the forest tall, built the mines, mills, and the factories for the good of us all. And when the young man's fancy was turning to the spring, the railroad men grew restless for to hear the hammers ring. Their minds were overflowing with the visions of their day, and many a fortune lost and won, and many a debt to pay. For they looked in the future, and what did they see? They saw an iron road running from the sea to the sea, bringing the goods to the young growing land, all up from the seaports and into their hands. Look away, said they, across this mighty land, from the eastern shore to the western strand, bringing the workers and bring up the rails. We gotta lay down the tracks and tear up the trails, open their heart, let the light
In this spectacular setting, the Hinkle to Eastport train has arrived at the northernmost outpost on the entire Union Pacific system. In a few yards, this train will be turned over to Canadian Pacific charge. Eastport is the Union Pacific station name for this location. Just on the other side of the border, the Canadian station name is Kings Gate. The last remaining chore for this UP crew is to cut the crossing, tie down the train, and tie up for the day. With a couple of hours to kill before a southbound would enter the United States, I decided to get some breakfast here at the Good Grief store, just a few miles to the south. And if you're ever here, I highly recommend it.